welcome to the I Live AP Government Show. This is your host, Emily Ann. Thank you for joining us today. Well, let me ask you, you wonderful AP Government students, have you heard of Captain Owen Honors? Well, if you haven't heard of him, he is the Navy captain that was discharged because of the raunchy videos he made while on the USS Enterprise. Ring any bells? We have today Jason James, a strong supporter of President Barack Obama. James has advocated for the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal, the 9/11 Health Bill, the healthcare reform, and the DREAM Act. James has his own radio show that strongly opposes reactionary politicians such as the Tea Party. His radio show, a show currently running its 12th year. We have Blair Morgan. With his own blog, Morgan has used the power of the internet to advocate the importance of having Don't Ask, Don't Tell, tax breaks, and the Pledge to America. Morgan strongly opposes the healthcare reform and supports the ideas of his fellow Republicans share. As he once said, a person cannot truly make an individual opinion without knowing all the facts. Therefore, all facts must... And today, we have Samson Tucker. Tucker has risen to fame through his many means to get his voice across, such as television appearances, radio chats, and his own political blog. Tucker is a self-proclaimed man of facts, and, as a moderator, will make a decision, all review of the facts, be accounted for before I make a decision. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show.
Tom.
Thank you for having us.
Let us begin. The first question comes from Sarah Kay from Rhode Island. She asks, was it right to fire him?
Yes. When you acquire a high rank, such as Chief General, you take on the responsibility of leading by example. By partaking in crude homosexual jokes, exposing nudes of the same and different sexes in the shower, and dropping the F-bomb numerous times, this captain is not setting a good example. Good time.
No, it was not right to relieve this man of his position. Do you know how long it takes to achieve command of a ship? Let me give you the facts. There are 287 ships in today's Navy, 50,000 officers. That means that each officer has 0.547% chance of getting command.
Yes, excuse me, but wouldn't that make it even worse then for the one person that does get in to mess it up with jokes like that?
As I was saying, these videos were meant to be viewed on the closed circuit of the ship. They were not meant for another audience, and therefore they have been taken out of context. That changes the meaning of them completely.
Well, not to interrupt Blair or anything like that, I'm just thinking like firing the captain is like not the best decision you're to go with. It seems like the Navy doesn't care about the captain by firing him right away, because assuming that this video came out because he was trying to boost morale for his crew, but the Navy isn't looking at the captain's side of the story. Like, I mean, you could judge a man by its cover. I mean, you could judge a book by its cover, but by not knowing what the book is about.
But is this a proper way to boost morale?
This is not a proper morale booster. It's demeaning and degrading to those it offends, and it's simply spreading negative opinions and stereotypes.
I mean, what else could you possibly do to boost the morale of the crew? We're stuck on the ship for like several weeks of the year, and you have nothing else to do on there. How else would you boost the morale of your crew?
It's a good question, but I'm sure there were different answers than degrading someone's sexual orientation. I mean, honestly, I understand that a board game is not necessarily the thing that you're going to play on a ship, but there's different things to do than make jokes about other people.
Even though you're all right, but it kind of seems like the way this is going, the Navy doesn't like exactly give command to the captains about what to do when your crew lacks in morale.
I'm just saying that in this video, this guy had complete knowledge of what he was doing, said that his higher-ups had no involvement in the case in the video. He knew what he was doing, and he's just not acting in the right manner. I think he got what he deserved.
Can we not just say that this is a simple way of keeping like the morale up? Because I mean, these men are charged to fight our war. So shouldn't they be at least mature enough to accept, okay, I may not like it, but, you know, we're adults here?
If someone came at your race, someone did come in our race many years ago, was it right for us to just sit there and take it?
David J. of Missouri asks, did his remarks really offend people?
As far as people really being offended by these videos, I don't believe that stuff. Because as they were intended to be seen, that's how most of his subordinates saw it. You can go on Facebook and find Support Captain Honor's Facebook pages. Obviously, it didn't offend as many people as we're made to believe. And if you look at the humor, it's male. There's no doubt. But you have to look at it in its context again. In the Navy, aviators see surface warfare officers, or SWOs, as inferior, in the joking way. Sort of like a quarterback looks down on his running back, something like that. So when he calls the SWO a gay boy in one clip, or a fag, it was just meant as a friendly jest. It wasn't meant as, hey, you're homophobic, or I'm homophobic, whatever you want to say. So you really have to truly take this in context.
Honestly, there's no way his remarks didn't offend people. In the beginning of his video, he tells people to go hug themselves because this video is not meant for you. He tells people he's intending to offend people, but don't pay attention to it. He obviously knows what he's doing, and he denies knowledge of the videos by his higher-ups as a means to prevent himself from getting in trouble. This is not the behavior a good general should exhibit. Really feel it acceptable for a leader of one of America's most prestigious forces to act in such a manner?
On the note of him covering his actions, before he says, go hug yourself, he makes a reference to gutless people that didn't file reports directly to him. And that's because in the military, you're supposed to say what you want to say. If you have a complaint, say it. So he was just going at them for that. It wasn't, it was just, if you really have a problem with this, tell me, and I'll see what I can do.
Going to specifically what you just said, you said being in the military, you see what you want to say. Also, when you're in the military, isn't everything you do about following orders? And who do you look up to? Who do you follow orders from? Your higher up. Now, if your higher up sitting there making gay jokes, is he really giving you...
Well, technically, the story here is basically he was trying to boost the morale of his crew, not trying to hurt people's feelings here. Basically, the crew, he wants the crew to look up to him as a real captain, because he doesn't want to be like one of those captains who are really harsh on this crew. He wants the crew to love him, but then at the same time, he is giving orders, while at the same time trying to boost the morale of his crew.
He's trying, what he's saying is like, he wants them to see him as a person, not an automaton. Like, not that connection. Because you don't want to be the officer that throws your weight around. You know, hey, I'm the captain, do what I say. You want to just be like, hey, can you do this for me?
Lastly, James Thompson of Texas asks, what does this situation say about the people in the Navy?
As far as how these videos reflect on the Navy itself, I believe it discredits the Navy. Because the military it works for the civilian world. It's not like the civilian world works for the military, but it shouldn't bend its back for the civilian world. Yes, they should have reprimanded him, but they should not have relieved him of his command right before his ship was set to go back to Afghanistan. They could have picked a better time and place for that.
I have to agree with you that this isn't good for the Navy in general, but honestly, I think it shows the Navy in a different perspective. I think it says that through the media, the Navy is constantly illustrated as an honorable establishment of brave soldiers ready to fight for their country. Messages such as the morale boost prepared by honors illustrate a belief that the Navy does not treat everyone equally and with honor, and overlooks prejudiced and sometimes brutal actions to keep the general workforce of the Navy happy. They're sacrificing one group to appease many, and that never ends up well.
I mean, like, as of right now, this looks really bad on the Navy side. I mean, but if you look at, like, let's look like 2 years later in the future, like, many people will start forgetting about this, but the leaders of the Navy won't forget about this type of situation. I mean, maybe like the members of like under the captain will remember, but some of them might forget like 2 years down the road because they're gonna have a new captain in. So like as of right now, this looks really bad on the Navy, but years down the road, people will start forgetting about this unless something like this else happens again.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your contributions. For the audience, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask on our website.